don't expect it anytime soon. Where we would had the like Q&A or whatever you want, or the presentation with the actual technical artists and the ones who do the concept art and stuff like that. They really are putting a lot of work into the details of these buildings and what type of buildings that they're putting in here. We are going to see a lot of different types of things. We're going to have a more affluent area, village, and then we're gonna have more of the ones that are just for the everyday people. So they're gonna look a lot different. They even went into detail on how the foliage is gonna be different, like gardens in the low-lying areas, or for the people, the poor people, the middle class, are more garden like, just like wild looking, as opposed to the more affluent and the richer parts of the areas will have like the manicured gardens and just the really beautiful stuff. It was really great stuff, but again, I digress from that. So we finally turn on, we find the fuse after we defeat the charger, and we put it in, and it's like, yeah, hey, okay, now I can sleep, because this guy went through a lot. Okay, so yeah, Crane needed some rest. So we slept, we woke up, and that's when we ended up getting a mission. I believe her name was Olivia. So I don't know if Crane is now an agent for the GRE. I don't know, which I doubt it, because this is taking place after Dying Light 2, which GRE is really not around. So it's got to be some sort of other faction, or some other, bunch of people who are just trying to figure shit out. But we didn't really get the names of, the organizations involved, right? So we get this mission to go to an industrial area, where the Baron, who we know, through interviews and stuff like that, is going to be the new antagonist in this. We were going to, I guess, a lab area, where it was fortified, and you had a lot of his henchmen there waiting for us. Right, so we get there, and there were like these big silos. I call them silos. They're like round little, tanks. I don't know. So we climb it up there, and it's showing off the parkour, wall running. It was very smooth. I mean, that's about as all I can say about it. It was smooth. It was just really great. Showing the different ways you can traverse this new area. So he decided to take the high road to like scope the place. He was using his binoculars a lot, just making sure, seeing where all the gunmen were, because this is gonna be a gunfight, okay? And they've assured us, although this particular demo was heavy on the guns, because you're fighting people with guns, so gun to gun is probably the best way to go, right? But it's not all the game is about at all. You're gonna have your melee, you're gonna have your ranged weapons like the bows, crossbows, all that stuff, and it's gonna be great, because with part of these things, he used, I believe, don't quote me, and again, somebody who saw it can, like, I believe we used some bows as we were going there and getting, we were shooting them in the head, and it looked pretty sweet. So we drop down to one of the, the rooftops where there's a gunman. We sneak up behind him, and we, take him down. It's a takedown, just like the second game, and then he's walking across, and then what really got me, which was like amazing. Remember in the first game where if you're like trying to, you're killing people, and they're like, "What's that? Who's there?" Oh, it's just the wind. That's exactly what's going on in this. He's running across the rooftops, and places where people are gonna see him, but he's running so fast, and they're like, "Hey, what's going? Who? Squirrel?" And I loved it. I was just like, yes, that's what we like. I mean, the community loved all these little details in the game, which were like, what do you mean? Who was it? Duh, but it was everyone, I think everyone laughed when it was like, okay, yeah, all right, great, thank you. So then he took out a few of them stealthily, but you can't take everything out stealthy. So then all hell breaks loose, pretty much. So then the gunplay comes in, right? So he's using, first he's using the pistol, then he grabs a rifle from, an enemy that was taken down. And then eventually, shotgun, which was reminiscent of the semi-automatic shotgun from the first game. Looked just like it, felt just like it, flipped it over, it was amazing. And that was like practically one shot and everything. Now, again, it's like these guys are bullet sponges usually, and this was no exception. It was like, depending on the weapon he was using, it took a few shots, and you're like, dude, man, that guy should have been dead. It's like playing Call of Duty, right? PvP, and you shot somebody in the face 10 times, and they use a karambit and just kill you once, right? That's exactly what it felt like. I was like, oh God, no. But yeah, I digressed again. Sorry about that. Now I play Call of Duty. Uh-oh, not so wholesome. But yeah. So we kill the people in the courtyard and the outside so that we get into the building. So, we're still, right by now, there's no stealth. It's just gunfighting your way into this place, shooting people, right? So then we get a little further into it. And then all of a sudden you hear in the background all hell breaking loose, things breaking open, growls, and just, and people like, whoa, it's escaping, the freaks, whatever. So we're like, what the hell's going on? I'm like, oh no, what is this? Right? So Crane eventually, dispatches who was left, because you see in bodies flying across, this thing is just on a rampage trying to get out, trying to escape the confines, because this looked like it was a lab where they had cages where they keep the freaks in and they experiment on them. Freaks could be anything: demolishers, goons, biters, everything, because they're freaks now, because they're, doing some weird ass experiments that I just can't wait to see exactly what's going on and what new variants that we're getting of our beloved infected types, and if there's going to be like brand new ones that look nothing like any other types that we have. So we might have to wait for that, because they won't go into detail on that, absolutely, unfortunately. But yeah, I can't have everything, right? We're in Poland watching this, right? So Crane gets down there, he meets with some scientists, and Crane's, isn't going to take no for an answer for anything. So he's like, what the hell's going on? Pretty much. And, what the hell was that noise? One of the freaks got out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, where, how can I find it? Whatever, And he's all, oh, yeah, if you take this canister of God knows what, it lures them, this gas. So, and I thought, because he said, please don't kill me, and I thought, from the way they've been talking, it's like Crane is just like, I hate everybody, I'm just out for vengeance, and I'm just kill. So I was surprised that he just hit him with the butt of the gun and just left him, to lay there, just whatever. So that gives me hope that he does have still some empathy for human life in him. But I hope it's not like what they're saying, that he's just so angry and so, bent on vengeance that, the comic stuff or the oh shit, oh fuck, and things like that are just not going to be. I just don't want them to change the character so much that he's not the Crane at all that we remember. And it would be heartbreaking. I get it. He's a hybrid, volatile / human. He's been experimented on for 13 years. Lord knows what that does to a man. I get it. You're going to be angry, but I want him to still have empathy for humans and life in general, and just not just, I'm just going to kill everything I see. I'm not going to help people. I want him to help people. I'm sure he's not going to be exactly what he was in the first game, where, he was this agent at first and then just fell in love with the people in the tower in general and just became their savior. I don't see him as a savior, so to speak. He might save whatever the storyline is, we really don't know. But in this particular mission, our storyline is we need to lure this behemoth, which is what we find after, when he gets to it, with this gas, right? So he picks up the container. It's similar animation to picking up a propane tank, and I'm like, oh god, we have to walk this like how far? Like you guys remember in the first game and in the second game too, you pick up one of those propanes, you're pretty much walking like a toddler, and the infected are just pretty much smacking you around as you're walking. So then we get outside of the building, and there's a 4x4 truck, and I'm like, yes, thank you. I am not walking with this. So he puts it in the back. He gets into it. And now the animation for this while you're driving is third person, right? So you're seeing over the truck, Someone in the audience did ask, are you going to make it so that we can drive first person, similar to how we did with the buggy and the following? And he said they're still working on that, and they can't give any definitive answer at this point, but that's something that they're thinking of as well. But for this particular demo and where it is right now in the game, I don't know when this demo was made, how far in, if it was recent, if it was 6 months ago, we don't know, right? So hoping that we do get the first person, but I think maybe third person, it doesn't matter either way, it looked great. So we're driving around. Now, it's not like everything is wide open where, you can't be driving. There's some places like, how are we going to drive through there? But we do. It's just, it's not like straight, down the road. And it's not like the following where you have designated roads and stuff like all over. No, you're going through industrial areas. You're going through, yards and just things where there's going to be obstacles for driving. So the driver had to do that. And then we do eventually get onto a road. So we're going through, under bridges, and just, it was really great. The driving was very great, smooth, and, the sound of the engine revving, it was really great. So we finally get to a location, which, guess what? More henchmen. And I guess they didn't know what happened to their buddies back there, so they think, hey, we got this guy. This guy's nobody. Yeah, he was somebody. It's Crane, right, guys? It's fucking Crane. So he dispatches them, with guns, and just, goes to town. Then he has to take the tank and put it into a dispenser that is in like a junkyard, like it's a round arena junkyard. So something's coming. There's a boss fight on the way, right? It's kind of reminded me of The Pit, right? But outdoors. And it also reminded me of an episode or a couple of episodes in The Walking Dead where, Rick and the gang ended up in this place that was a big junkyard pit where people throw your ass in there, and then you have to fight some zombies and stuff. That's what it reminded me of as well. So Crane ends up putting the canister in the dispenser. Then it's this gas all spewing around, and then you hear in the background, the guy coming, busts in like, demolishers usually do, and then you get a close-up of this dude, and he's like, ugly motherfucker. He's ugly. He's a demolisher, right? But he's got these tubes and just biomechanical engine. It's just, they experimented on this guy. I can understand why he got pissed off and wanted to Amscray from that, place, because ouch. I mean, just because you're a biter or you're a demolisher or you're a volatile doesn't mean you don't feel pain, It's just, everyone feels pain. Animals feel pain. So yeah, these poor guys are probably like, what the hell are you shoving up my whatever. But yeah, I digress again. So he comes out and he's all big and bad. And, I'm looking like, he's a little big there, Crane. What's going to happen? So, he's fighting him, dodging him. He's getting his licks in. He's got his guns, so he's using the shotgun, which seemed to take a pretty decent chunk of health off of the dude. So, I don't know what the parameters are to use the skill that he eventually is going to use in this particular match, but it's so You know, the guy's throwing cars at him, the thing's jumping from one end of the friggin' thing to the other, and you're like, what the hell? Similar to the gorilla in Bloody Ties, so they still got that going on where he can jump across the thing at you. So it was, yeah, it was a lot of fun watching. You know, I was getting a little dizzy up there on the screen because it was so much, so fast, just like brutal combat. So then all of a sudden, Crane goes into what they had on the screen, Fury, okay? Which I'm hoping that after this, and we had our one-on-one, you know, our interviews with Q&A with Timon, it was like, you're going to change that name, right? Because it's too reminiscent of Dead Island. And he goes, well, we were part of Dead, but still, I get it, but beast mode. I mean, it's simple, right? His beast mode, okay? So he went into his beast mode. I'm not even going to say Fury. I don't even want to say it. It's his beast mode. And he just went to town on this thing, just beating the living daylights out of him. Then he goes over to, you know, one side of the junkyard and picks up one of those concrete barriers that you would see when somebody's trying to like close off a road. Just lifts it up and just throws that. It's like, ha ha, two can play at that game, motherfucker. All right, so boom. You know, so he's hitting him with that and stuff. And then all of a sudden his fury, you know, then he really goes to town on him. Jumps on him and just literally like rips his head right off his shoulders. And then we get the cut scene of him, you know, just doing that. It's more or less a cut scene when you're doing it. Which some people might not like the cut scenes and stuff like that, but you know, that's gaming today, guys. That's, you know, the big thing is like the big finale, you know? So it rips his head off and then it falls to the ground. And then they pan into Crane getting up from behind after doing it. And yeah, I'm a woman. I like Crane and I like... okay, nice butt. Okay, I have to say it. He has a nice ass. All right, but no more. I won't say no more. Say no more, gamer mom. I will not say it. But, and then they pan to him and then it's just, you know, fade to black, dude. And roaring, standing over it just blew everyone away, you know. So absolutely one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and I thank Techland and everyone who was there with us, the content creator. It's just amazing. And what I never realized, I know the community likes me, and I know Techland knows who I am. I literally couldn't believe that I have fans at Techland, the devs, and I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I'm your biggest fan. And no, we're your biggest fan. And, you know, one person, his name is Alex. He's a really, really great guy. He's a Q&A person. He came down with two other people that he brought down as well, who follow me on X and stuff like that. And they were like, awestruck is the word I could say. I'm like, why? I'm awestruck. What do you mean? So Alice brought me a little souvenir. It's a little gnome, because in Rocroi, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong because I'm American. I don't know how to say things. A gnome where you actually have to search out gnomes. There's gnomes all over the city, which I didn't partake in because I was so exhausted by the end of each day. I was just like, I was lucky I could go to the parties and have fun. And had a pierogi. And it was on a red base because he knew I liked the color red, which I was like, how do you know that? And I'm like, maybe this gave it away. But yeah, so it was just so great meeting everyone and going to the headquarters. But like I said, I'll fill you in another video on all of that extra stuff. But again, comments. I will answer as many questions as I can or that I can remember about everything that I saw and what I think we can expect. Don't ask release dates and stuff because they didn't tell us that stuff at all. You know, and it was asked, and it's like, it's almost done. It's almost finished to the point where then they can start their testing and stuff like that. But testing could take a year. It could take 2 weeks. I don't know. But like I said, in the actual demo itself, there were bugs in the demo, and they kept them there. I think more to show proof that it wasn't a cinematic trailer or cinematic, gameplay, and that it was real, because there was stuff that was, not exactly perfect, which I'm like, okay, great, the one was with the guy, he hit a biter with the bat, his fucking head came, face like exploded, whatever. His body fell, but the face was still in midair with the blood coming down. I thought it was awesome, but it's a bug, right? You're gonna have it. So these are the things that they wanted us to see and to give feedback on, and what if we noticed anything that they didn't notice, etc. and so forth, just from the 45-minute demo, right? But that's what Q&A and everyone else is, and they have game testers and things like that. So I'm sure this, but it looked pretty great, visually, and mechanic wise, it was very smooth, and they're playing on a computer. Console guys, console. I don't know what it's gonna look like on console, but we'll see what happens. I'm sure it's gonna be perfectly fine. But they're really wanting to make this as perfect a release as they possibly can, because they know they disappointed everyone with the release of Dying Light 2, and they've redeemed a lot of it with all the updates over the years, but there are still people who this should have been at launch, I guess, but we got what we got. Unfortunately, you can't go back in time. We only need to look forward as a community, and I'm absolutely looking forward to the Beast coming out, and I would love to do like a beta or something. Come on, guys, give us a beta, please, I beg of you. So yeah, comments, I'll answer as many questions as I can and that I recollect. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend, and whatever time it is for you. Good morning, good evening, good night, good luck, stay human, and go Beast. Bye.